And welcome to another edition of Opposition Outlook, AATBirds Weekly Report. We will be joined momentarily by Mike Bauer. And we have a returning guest to break down the Cowboys, Roy White III from the Riled Up podcast, Blogging the Boys. Happy to have you come back on.
Johnny, always good to see you, man, especially the most important week. Who'd have thought we'd be here, right? Who thought we'd be here fighting over the number one seed in the NFC after 5 weeks?
No, it's going to be fun. Dallas Eagles it's always a battle, but this Sunday Night Football, the team's 4-1 and 5-0. It puts a lot in terms of what we have going on here this upcoming Sunday night.
No doubt about it. And I mean, obviously, I'm sorry for what you guys have had to deal with against us recently. I really am. It's not my fault. I didn't want it to go that way. I'm sure you didn't want it to go that way, but it is what it is. And, with that type of history, right, in some cases it's just destined to repeat itself. I don't even know necessarily how it's going to happen this time around because I got to be honest with you, and I always have been. I feel it's a very uphill battle for the Cowboys from a Cowboys perspective. But just knowing the way that it seems to go, I don't know if I feel so horrible about their chances.
So let me start it off here with you. So they talked today about Cooper Rush is the one. McCarthy talked about Cooper Rush is who is preparing to start. They don't feel Dak is fully ready yet to go. So is it going to be Cooper Rush come Sunday night against this Philadelphia Eagles defense?
I think it's a done deal that it will be Cooper Rush. And I say that because Mike McCarthy goes on a weekly radio show shortly after they play and speaks to basically kind of what's upcoming. And he said that he expects or needs Dak Prescott to log in a full week of practice if he's going to feel comfortable playing him. Well, Dak Prescott did not practice in full on Wednesday. And with that being the case, right, I fully expect them to take another week, especially given that they're no longer in a desperate spot. They've gone 4-0 with Cooper Rush as their quarterback. No one expected that to happen. No one could have anticipated that happening. But now that it has, they kind of have the ability to play with house money here and take the extra time that I think is necessary. I always thought was necessary to get Dak Prescott back and fully healthy, right? Because it's one thing to be able to grip and throw a football. It's another thing to be able to have to use that thumb to plant when you're falling on the ground, which you're going to do naturally, right? To bang against an opponent's helmet or your own teammate's helmet in the case of a ferocious pass rush, which the Eagles certainly have. So, this is not the game that they want to toy around. And were they in more of a desperate situation or were this later in the season, I would say, yeah, we'll take our chances. But right now, I think they're kind of getting the best of both worlds, right? They can play Cooper Rush, and if they lose, they got the built-in excuse. We didn't have our quarterback, right? But if they happen to win that game in Philadelphia, being 5.5-point underdogs, well, now they have the psychological advantage going into round 2, because not only did they take you down with a backup, but they got a healthy Dak Prescott to hit you with the second time around.
Roy, I got a question for you. Hi, by the way. Sorry about that. My computer, it's like I'm up here like I'm going to do this podcast, and my computer's like, absolutely not.
You're good, Mike. Nice to meet you, brother.
Nice to meet you too. And I guess I'm kind of getting used to the cowboy hat. I'm starting to dig it a little bit.
Thank you. Thank you. Well, I came with the Hawaiian shirt just to let you guys know, like, this is the show vibe over here. We're not sweating it, even though it's the Eagles, right? Even though you guys are 5-0, I respect it. But this is kind of what the Cowboys are playing with. They're playing with house money right now. They're drinking Mai Tais. If you'd have told us we'd be 4-1 after 5 weeks and 4 of those without Dak Prescott, we'd have all jumped over the moon and taken our money from the Vegas casinos.
You could also say that wouldn't have been the case last year with the backup situation that you guys had. And how fun is it to have an Eagles-Cowboys game where there's actually good teams? Both teams are good. We haven't – I mean, like, look at the last week of the season last year. I also vote that the Eagles and Cowboys should never play each other week 18 or 17, whatever it is. I don't want it because a buddy of mine, Kevin, is a Cowboys fan. He's actually one of my best friends. But he was really, really ragging me about that game. And I'm like, bro, come on. We were playing our third string defensive backs. You had Dak in there for 3 quarters.
Hey, a win's a win. A win's a win, Mike.
This is true. But what's the injury situation down there like with Micah Parsons and Jason Peters? Is Jason Peters playing? Do you know?
Yeah, so, I mean, to both of those, I would say yes, right? Like, now Micah Parsons, like, he came back and played through that groin injury and still wound up winning an NFC Player of the Week, all right, Defensive Player of the Week honors. So I think even at 80%, Micah Parsons is better than 95% of NFL players. And so there's no doubt in my mind he'll obviously be playing in this game on Sunday. And then as for Jason Peters, right, he did practice on Wednesday and even spoke about, his role and what he expects it to be. So I do expect Jason Peters to have a potentially much larger role than what we've seen up to this point, because there is a little bit of that, call it revenge factor, if you will. I mean, can you call it that? Like, you guys aren't disowning Jason Peters just because he signed with the Cowboys for half a season, are you? His hometown team?
It's like, for me, it was just kind of weird. But he's one of those guys where it's like, for me, it was worth seeing Reggie White in a Packers jersey or Brian Dawkins in a Broncos jersey. Those were worse. We love Jason Peters, but he's not the Jason Peters that we love. You know what I mean?
I don't disagree with that.
Yeah.
And I don't know if he would have been the right guy to stay in Philadelphia, right, at this rate. But the Cowboys had some money to throw around, could offer him a hometown deal. Obviously, he's got a place here and around Dallas, so it's very convenient for him. And I think it is going to play in their favor, right? Like, he obviously looks like a serviceable guard and at a position where the Cowboys have really been unable to find an answer that they can be happy with on a consistent basis. He is a guy that's provided that and could potentially provide more of that, right next to their left tackle in Tyler Smith, who has turned into obviously another excellent pick thus far. Now, granted, like, they haven't faced the type of defensive prowess that they're going to face this weekend. Like, I would argue even the Eagles are better than the Aaron Donald-led Rams on an overall team basis. And I think they also have the gas and the juice up the middle to provide the Cowboys with more struggles than like other teams are capable of, right? I know Aaron Donald's a beast, but if you have Fletcher Cox and potentially Jordan Davis that you can roll out there, like along with Brandon Graham on the outside, that scares me more than what the Rams brought to the table. So, like, yes, I mean, obviously we're all feeling decent about where things are from a Cowboys perspective. Injury-wise, everything seems to be trending in a positive direction. They're going to get J-Ron Kearse back, which was kind of an unsung hero of their defense a year ago, like was a really pivotal part. And he will play a role in how they try to contain Jalen Hurts. Because you can say all day that Micah Parsons is the perfect weapon to contain Jalen Hurts, but I think Jalen Hurts has become such a special weapon. And I told you, Johnny, a year ago, like I didn't really have a lot of questions about him because I think he is that dynamic. He's putting up like Cam Newton MVP type numbers in my mind. And I just don't think even as special as Parsons is, one man's going to be able to contain him, right? J-Ron Kearse has got to play a role in that as well as the safety in the box.
So you talked about, Jalen Hurts and the dynamic of the Eagles offense. And, Dallas's defense has only played one top 20 offense, and that was Washington, and they're ranked 19th. So Eagles are second. How big of a test is this Philadelphia Eagles offense to this Dallas defense?
You're already covering it by weak spots, right? Because like I said, I do the podcast for Blogging the Boys, but I try to be like very honest about my assessments, right? And the Cowboys have massively benefited, right? Cooper Rush in particular, this offense in particular, has massively benefited from the fact that they've been playing with huge leads. They played 4 games with Cooper Rush as the starting quarterback. And in those 240 minutes, right, they have only trailed in less than 6 minutes of game time.
Oh.
The only times they trailed were against the Commanders and the Rams, and they trailed for exactly one possession when Cooper Rush drove the Cowboys down the field, took the lead back, and they were either tied or led the rest of the way. So from that standpoint, this is absolutely the biggest test that they've faced because it is the first offense that has the potential to put them in a score or 2-score hole early on. And if that is what happens, right, this is where, like, as blusterous and boisterous as Cowboys fans can be about Cooper Rush and as gung-ho as they can be, right, this is where they get smacked back to reality about the fact that there is no quarterback controversy. The minute Dak Prescott is ready to go, he is the guy. Because if Cooper Rush has to bring this team down from 2 scores, my assessment of that happening is next to nil. So if they can get a lead early, stay in the game, right, prevent you guys from, having those big second quarters that you've had. Because, shoot, I read today, 91 of the 135 points that the Eagles have scored have come in that second quarter. Now, granted, you guys have been whooping ass so hard that you don't really need to do anything in the third and fourth quarter in most of those games, right? They were multi-score games, cutouts in some cases at halftime, right? So I applaud the defense, right? And I believe in them so much that I draft them in fantasy in like every league that I'm in. But at the same time, like, there is a window that the Cowboys could win this game, and that is you let them stay in it. And they could stay in it on their own accord just based on their defense, because as dangerous as y'all's offense is, our defense is also probably the best defense you've played all season. Is that fair?
I would agree with that.
Probably would say the same. Yeah, I probably would say the same.
I would definitely agree with that. Although I will say Detroit's defense was a little better than I expected initially.
All right, hold up. They've given up 170 now. Like, they've given up 170.
It was week 1. Don't forget.
No doubt.
It was better than what I thought it was going to be when we played them at the time.
I scored 38 on them.
I know, but still. Hey, Adam actually has a really good question here. He wants to know what's going on with Zeke. It looks like, Tony Pollard looks really good from everything that I've seen. You want to talk about another guy to have in fantasy? That's the guy right there. I love Tony Pollard. Loved when he came out of Memphis too. But what is going on with Zeke down there in Big D? Oh, I hate saying that. That's weird.
Hey, you can say it, baby. It is what it is. No.
I'm starting to like Zeke, Roy John. He's grown on me.
I feel like they're giving him his flowers. I feel like they're giving him his swan song, right? They've always given Zeke his numbers. And when I say that, I mean his touches. And they've also maintained that he's going to get his 1,000 yards. If you remember a year ago, they kept him on up until the third quarter until he got the 71 rushing yards he needed to get over 1,000 yards, because from a legacy standpoint, right, that's important to a player like Dak Prescott, and he's getting paid like a guy who should get to have a legacy. Having said all that, right, this is strictly about a guy getting paid. And being the guy that needs to be handed the rock because of it. Like, if all things were equal, and if you looked at all the numbers and pretty much use whatever number you want to measure, right? Yards after contact, yards before contact, like elusive ratings, all that stuff favor Tony Pollard. 20-yard rushes, explosive runs, right? You dig deep into the numbers, they're all in Tony Pollard's favor. So, I mean, the answer to that question really is that Zeke's getting run, and then he's going to get run out. Next season is the year that they can get out of that deal. And when they have that opportunity, I and nearly everybody else fully expect them to take it, because they gave him a record-setting deal for the market at the time, and it has since been the record. No one has surpassed it. Christian McCaffrey's deal didn't surpass it on a yearly basis. So he will get cut the minute they can save some money. They couldn't do that yet this year. It actually would have cost them more to let go of Zeke Elliott. So they kept him. They're giving him his roses, right? They're going to make sure he has a decent season so he can get a good deal next where he goes, because that's how Jerry and Steven do treat their boys. And make no mistake about it, that still goes on in the background, unfortunately, to all of our dismay.
But I will say, if they wait until 2026, he doesn't count towards any dead cap hits. So they should just hang on to him. Just keep rolling.
I love that you suggest. That's so kind of you. Gosh, that's so nice of you to provide your insight about it, and like
future
with no strings attached. That's really sweet. I think you guys I think you should get rid of your GM personally, just because you can't think that he's that good, right? He obviously hasn't helped the team and turn them around in one season.
So Howie Roseman is a polarizing figure in Philadelphia. He splits the fan base. There's people that
still hate him.
Whoa.
He created a lot of unnecessary drama with the whole Carson Wentz, Jalen Hurts situation. He created that. Let's be real about it. That was all Howie Roseman. Did he undo it? Yes. Did he do a good job undoing it? Also, yes. But
an amazing job undoing it, right? Most guys put themselves in that situation and they are gone because they have gone in the tank, in the pooper.
The Rams. The one thing that I said, if Jaquiski Tartt catches that interception in that NFC Championship game, what are we saying about the Rams with the start they've had this year? Ooh. You're saying a lot. See, that Super Bowl has saved them in terms of, hot seat in terms of their GM and everything there. But you're looking, Roy, you saw them last week. They have no depth, and that's what happens when you get rid of multiple first and second round picks and getting rid of all these draft picks. You can't make teams out of undrafted free agents 4th, 5th, and 6th round picks all the time.
It's a possibility that it sinks them long term. We might be watching it prematurely happen before our very eyes. So to me, again, for Roseman to have the sight to be like, this isn't working, we got to move in a different direction. Now, granted, he might have gotten a little bit lucky with Jalen Hurts because there were still questions about Jalen up until this year, right? Yeah. Maybe there's still some of the fan base that isn't sold on it, although I'd love to hear from them. Mm-hmm. Oh,
I'm right here.
Yeah.
All right.
I go back and forth.
I don't mean to hijack, but tell me what more he does need to do for you.
I do want to say, I think just going back to the Rams briefly, I think Matthew Stafford is starting to show signs of being washed. I think that elbow injury is worse than the Rams are letting on. And I mean, the guy has thrown the ball so much over his career. So he's been on a bad team. Hey, you got your ring right off into the sunset with your millions of dollars. So Jalen Hurts, look, he's starting to win me over a little bit, admittedly. That is a very hard thing for me to say. But last year, I just hated that he was just like a sound clip machine, like rents due every week. I don't plan on missing. It's like, dude, whatever. Focus on your craft. We're constantly told he's coach's kid. He's a hard worker, blah, 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 whatever. I don't give a shit about that stuff. You went to Alabama. You went to Oklahoma. I should be seeing better mechanics. I should see you throwing your receivers open, throwing with good anticipation, have better velocity and zip on the ball. I didn't see that.
What Alabama quarterback has done that?
That's a big program. You know what I mean? You should be.
It is, but what quarterback out of there has ever done that?
You're not supposed to scout the helmet, right? I'm just saying, these are programs that are supposed to be getting guys ready for the NFL. Okay, well, we look at it. Oklahoma, Kyler Murray, Baker Mayfield. Caleb Williams, who transferred to USC, looks like he's going to be the quarterback one in 2024 class. So these are guys like Baker didn't really work out. Kyler Murray, jury's still out, especially if there's double XP night on Xbox. Did you see that stat, Johnny? He's like 3 and whatever.
Dude,
when
he's
double
terrible
XP
after
weekend.
Call of Duty comes out.
It's awesome. But look, Jalen's starting to win me over a little bit, and I have to accept the fact that he's probably going to get a contract extension. He's probably going to be here for the next couple of years, but I'm concerned about the running. Honestly,
Yeah.
I think that either they're calling too many runs or he's running too much. Look, Cam Newton, Michael Vick, Lamar Jackson, he's taking some hits. Josh Allen takes a lot of hits too. He's a big boy, but still, these guys, these quarterbacks that run a lot, it concerns me. Because if that's the case, you're only as good as your backup. Roy, you know that as well as I do. I mean, Philadelphia is the town that loves their backup quarterbacks. I don't know how they do it down there in Dallas, but it's just one of those things.
We hated him. We cut him. He was on the practice squad right before week 1.
Yep.
It's amazing. It's amazing.
It is amazing. It's amazing how they turned it around. But okay, I get the criticism, right? I get the criticism of Jalen, and I do get the stuff about as a running quarterback. Like long term, perhaps that doesn't work, but he's still young enough, right? And the talent around him, right? Perfectly placed. You got one high paid receiver in AJ Brown, right? Who's locked up for several years. And you got another who's basically on the second year of a rookie deal and presumably is around for a good couple of years as well, right? You've got the tight end from a long-term perspective that you would want. And you have the offensive line in place that you presume can protect him at least for the next 2 years. Like everything is kind of a year-to-year proposition, right, in the NFL because things can turn on you so quickly. But, some of the guys you mentioned, like Lamar, Josh Allen, those are 2 of the next guys lined up to, like, get these big paydays. And quite honestly, if it wasn't the team that was signing them, I'd be raising my hand to be like, hey, if my team needed one, get me that dude. So if Jalen Hurts did hit the market, obviously he would be heavily coveted. In my opinion. Now, granted, right, the Cam Newton model doesn't last forever. Rushing 13 times a game, probably unsustainable long term. But at the same time, with all the weapons that they have, right, like, man, it's just hard to doubt him. It's hard to see that he's not – it's hard to say that he's not like the perfect piece for everything that you have around him right now. To me.
So, with that, what is a matchup Sunday night that you're looking forward to with the Eagles and the
CD and
Cowboys?
Darius Slay. It's all it's like it starts and I mean to me it starts and ends there. Now, granted, like some of that is downgraded by the fact that it's Cooper Rush throwing him the football, but Darius Slay called out CD, basically said CD's got to see me for the first time, so we're gonna see what it is. Like CD around these parts started the season with questions about being a legitimate number one, has since quieted some of that, but that could all come boiling back up if he fails to produce against a number one corner, maybe, arguably the best cornerback going right now in the NFL in Darius Slay. So that matchup is the number one matchup to me that I'm looking at from like an offensive standpoint. Like the player that I'm watching though, the most exciting player on the field is Micah Parsons. You have to know where, if you watch them, even if you're watching the Eagles on offense, you need to find number 11. You better find him because if you don't see him at the beginning of the play, you're damn sure probably going to see him at the end of the play, especially if it's something winding up behind the line of scrimmage. He is a force. He is a freak. And it is incredible the way they move him around. And I'm telling you, right side, left side, right over the center, right over the nose, right? Like right behind, like backing up a little bit, way out on the edge, right? Where Javon Curse used to be for you guys, like way out there. So you can see him in a lot of different places and you damn sure need to know where he is, right? So those probably like the 2 biggest matchups I'm looking forward to from the Cowboys standpoint, because they're going to answer some questions for me, right? There's a lot of matchups I'm very fearful of as well. And I guess I can say those two. Like, the Trayvon Diggs and like AJ Brown, I'm a little fearful of that. Like, I think AJ Brown's a little bit of a tough matchup for this secondary. I don't really see anybody that can match wits with AJ Brown from that perspective, from a physicality perspective.
Is it true that they're calling Diggs toast down there?
Why would they do that? I can't imagine why you do that. He's one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL.
I saw a couple Cowboys fans talking about it, and I just want to say, Cowboys fans, we got that nickname from one of our defensive backs first. Look up Izell Jenkins. Can we get him?
I tell you, I don't understand what the debate is on Diggs. Okay, he gambles at times, but we've seen him make plenty of plays where he's hugging a guy and making a pass breakup, right? Like, I'll take my chances with him playing at times instinctually and taking a chance, especially when, like, the safety play has been good enough to kind of back him up, especially this year, right? And this is another year in Dan Quinn's defensive scheme where the guys started to understand other players' positionings and, you know, can have some expectations about where guys are going to be at, knowing that all is going to be working in unison, right? There was a real lack of trust there that existed a year ago that we have not seen this year. So from a secondary standpoint, like, even if the guys are all the same, they're better from a team perspective defensively because they're a second year into this system.
All right, so with that, I want to get two more for you, and then we'll get you out of here. But the one is it's the Ulecka lock. So that is something that you think is going to happen. It doesn't have to be this game. It could be the NFL slate. So something that you think is definitely going to happen. You know, you lock it up. So what do you think for this week, either this game or another game this upcoming weekend?
Man, oh, damn it. I don't like that you asked me this because I actually have been thinking about it. I'm probably going to put money about it, right? Like, as much as I am a fan of the Cowboys, I'll take the Eagles at 5.5. I do think the Eagles win this game, like, fairly easily. And like I said, there's a valley where the Cowboys can win it, right? There's a narrow valley where you guys F around. You don't put us away early, right? You settle for field goals when touchdowns were the goal, and then maybe you turn it over a time or two, right? Or you give up a special team score. Like, you could get hurt by that, and it would hurt to lose to this team as a favorite. But I do feel very strongly, like, looking at the slate, I'm like, damn, there's almost a game that I don't feel as good about than I do about the Eagles beating the Cowboys this week, because I just don't think Cooper Rush has the goods. Like, it's been great, dude. Don't get me wrong. It's been phenomenal. Thank you for not turning the ball over, right? But he threw for 102 yards against the Rams because they never trailed. They didn't trail a single time that he was touching the football. Same thing against Washington, except for one drive in which the only game in which they had to sweat it was against the Giants. And yeah, the Giants are 4-1. I guess they're farting around at the top of the NFC East as well, along with us. But do either of us expect them to be there at the end?
No.
Even as bad as their schedule is, and it's horribly bad. Like, I hate to say it, they actually could wind up being there from a schedule perspective. I just don't think they're on that tier that the Cowboys and Eagles are on. And right now, with Cooper Rush as a backup, I don't think the Cowboys are on the tier that the Eagles are on.
So you did pick the Eagles, so that brings us to my next question and the prediction. Do you have a score prediction for us?
Oh, I think the Cowboys defense will do a little bit better job against Jalen and hold them to like 24, right? Which is something that, hey, the Commanders did too, so whoop-de-doo. But I think the Eagles can still kind of get their numbers here. 24, 21, even 17 to me is enough to win it, because I think the Cowboys only scored 10. Like, their offense is going to be the ones doing it. They're not going to get a special team score or a defensive score. And Cooper Rush will probably turn the ball over once or twice, preventing them from being able to win this football game. And the more that they're behind, right? The minute that they're behind, they will start to feel the heat of being behind if Rush doesn't drive down the field the next drive and tie it, right? Or take the lead back. And if he doesn't do that, that will be the first time in 4 games that he hasn't done that. And I want to know what his response will be to that. I don't expect it to be great. Most Cowboys fans wouldn't have expected it to be great, which is why we were all okay with him being practice squatted at the beginning of the year. So at this point, again, playing with house money, I'll take my chances. We'll roll the dice with Cooper Rush and probably come away with a loss 21-13.
Okay, so it kind of wraps up our segment. I do appreciate you coming on, as always. I think this is possibly your 3rd or 4th time. I'm not.
Cheers, man. 3rd time. Yeah. Thanks for having
So,
me back.
where can everyone find you? What are you up to? Just give everyone kind of some stuff there.
Yeah, you can hit me up on Twitter at RW3. That's pretty much the only social media I do because I do have a day gig. But also you can find me in my content, bloggingtheboys.com. The Riled Up podcast, we release that every Thursday on the Blogging the Boys podcast network. So make sure to check that out if you're interested in some Cowboys content because we do have a lot of it. And it's the best place to get it. And we'll give it to you real, as you can tell. I'm not just a Cowboys homer, even though I look the part.
You have to be real. You have to be upfront there. But again, thank you for joining us. And I'm not going to say good luck, but go.
Oh, you
Eagles.
can say it. You can say it. You know, we'll just keep it rolling. We'll keep the good vibes going. We're not sweating it anyway. You know, we're gonna have a Mai Tai either way, right? We're gonna have some great Texas barbecue afterwards. We'll be ready to settle in, have a shiner. We'll be good. Mike, you gonna have one for me too?
Yeah, I'll be having some drinks on Sunday night. I just hate that they always put the Eagles, Cowboys in prime time because it's like
I know
you wait all day just for your day to get ruined.
Well,
and we're on Christmas Eve this year too with you guys, and it's like, ugh.
Well, it's a perfect afternoon nap weekend. That's for sure. Get that nap in at 4, get ready for the pregame, and be ready to go. But, Mike, pleasure to meet you, brother. Good doing it with you, man. And Johnny, always a good time, man. Thanks for having me.
Thanks again, Roy.
See you, Roy.
All righty. So some good stuff. Eagles Cowboys week. It's always fun. Been posting up the Dallas week. Some memories, fond memories, since there are so many of them. But are you checking your chair for squeaking or something?
No, my back itches.
Okay. So let's do a quick recap of the win on Sunday. It was a close one, 20-17. The Eagles do win because of a late missed field goal by Matt Amendola, the practice squad kicker of the Arizona Cardinals, because Matt Prater is hurt, and the Eagles kicker Cameron Dicker, who won Special Teams Player of the Week. That's every week the Eagles have had a Player of the Week, NFC Player of the Week, which is
interesting.
Pretty phenomenal, actually. I didn't think that could possibly. I'm not. You know what? I'd love to go back and see if any team has done that for the first 5 weeks of the year. There probably isn't.
I would say probably not.
But that's a pretty good feat. Hopefully they get another one this week against the Cowboys. But, breaking down that game quickly, Eagles are 5-0 for the first time since 2004. It's crazy. It's the 3rd time in franchise history that they are 5-0. This year, of course, 2004 and 1981. So it's a pretty rare feat for them to get to that. But I love it. I didn't think they'd be 5-0 at this point. I thought maybe 4-1 at best, 3-2. But it's great to see. You gotta love it.
I gotta be honest with you. The win last week kind of felt like a loss. I didn't like the offensive game plan. I didn't like the defensive game plan. TJ Edwards did not have his best game as an Eagle.
They played too soft coverage. Too much soft coverage was just.
And I get that the Cardinals have a lot of speed, and we talked about that last week. So I understand that you're trying to compensate for that, but AJ Brown, 1 target in the second half. I understand you had like 3 or 4 drives in the second half. One of those drives you're just trying to run out the clock, but AJ Brown is your best skill player.
Mm-hmm.
You need to get him the ball. They're trying to force the ball too much to Quez. At this point in time, Quez is a lottery ticket. He's a bonus play. If he's open, you throw him the ball. Don't force the ball to Quez Watkins. Force the ball to AJ Brown. And these are things that I don't like about NFL coaches. Okay, we have AJ Brown. Well, they're not going to see us throwing it to Quez Watkins. It's like, stop trying to be the smartest guy in the room, just win the damn football game. And I understand they won. So I guess I'm being a little nitpicky here with certain things, but just do better. And Gannon's defense was rolling up until this last game too.
Yeah.
So this is a step back, and I'm hoping that they adjust because the Cowboys, even with Cooper Rush at quarterback, are not going to be a pushover opponent. They're
The
not.
thing is with Cooper Rush, if they're able to run the ball, it's going to keep them in the game. If you stop
Yeah.
that and make them one-dimensional and make Cooper Rush beat you, then you're going to have a more playable game into your hands there, because it's going to be able to pin your ears back and rush the passer a little bit. But I want to see Jordan Davis and what he can do, because he's been playing really well, getting after running backs, getting to the quarterback, causing pressure. But again, some of the plays, like the one Zach Ertz screen that he ran all the way and made the tackle, it's just the effort that he's bringing. And if they're able to utilize him in this defense and be able to stop the run, it's going to help them be able to dictate and control the game. And that's one thing that I felt. It just seemed like after they got the big lead, well, they got the 14-0 lead. It just seems like they kind of, took their foot off the gas. The run game only had 4.2 yards per carry, which, all right. The third down was a little bit better than it's been.
4.2 is okay, but let's not forget
right.
Jalen had a couple sneaks too. That's going to bring your yards per carry down.
You're right there. It's gonna, and then also he had what, one kneel down, right? I believe it was just at the end, one kneel down. So that
you take out those short Jalen Hurts runs, which I think he had, like, didn't he have 2 at the goal line that he snuck in for touchdowns? And I think he had a couple conversions throughout the game in the kneel down. So it was probably better than that if we're looking at just purely running the ball. So I think that number is a little bit deceiving. But again, like I talked about with Roy, you're running Jalen Hurts too much.
you gotta,
you know what I mean?
You gotta be fearful, but there goes one of my pictures. It's okay. But the going 6 of 13 on third down, they struggled.
They did.
On third down the previous 2 games. So that was, and the key one late in the fourth quarter, the third down completion to Goddard, I think was really big. And that had to, that was on the 17-play, 70-yard drive that chewed up almost 8 minutes of game clock that ended with the Dicker field goal. I just think that portion, when Arizona goes down and ties the game up, and then the Eagles are able to go 17 plays, chew up all that clock, get the field goal to take the lead. Yeah, I know they missed field goal late by Arizona, but and the Milton Williams possible deflection, I don't know, but
I think it was.
I think so too. I think he did deflect, but again, still, they're able to chew up all that clock to make Arizona rush, and then of course, the bonehead play by Kyler sliding and then spiking it. So, hey, it is what it is. You get the win. Every game isn't going to be pretty. They haven't won in Arizona since 2001, and they're able to get that win. I think it's big.
Would you like to know the all-time series between the Cowboys and the Eagles? Of course you would. The Cowboys lead 72-54 overall. Now, let's not forget, that's going to look a little lopsided. There was a long time where the Cowboys were very, very good, and the Eagles were very, very not.
Yeah, there was a lot.
I think the entire 1970s, the Eagles were just bad. My Uncle Al tells me about that stuff all the time. Like, the Cowboys were just that team that we couldn't beat. And I'll tell you what, it really got good in the rivalry when Andy Reid came to town. Yeah. That's when we started to routinely, I feel, from what I remember anyway. I do remember the one game, I think it was like, I stayed up late and watched this game with my dad. I think Ray Rhodes was the coach. It was like James Willis lateraled the ball back to Troy Vincent, ran it for a touchdown. You remember that?
You keep an eye out tomorrow. You may see it.
I cut that page out of the sports section and I had it up on my wall in my bedroom when I was a kid for, a couple like months or whatever. Obviously, newspaper doesn't hold up that well.
No, it does not.
It's just out in the open. But yeah, there's been some good moments in this rivalry.
lot.
Like I was saying when Roy was on, it's like you wait all day, and if they lose, it ruins your whole weekend. And if we lose on Sunday night on national TV,
Yeah.
we have 2 weeks to think about that.
That's right, because it's the bye week.
It is the bye week. And then we have them again on Christmas Eve. It's why.
Yeah.
Ridiculous.
And Peanut chimes in here. Basically, his whole childhood, the Cowboys ran us. So
Yeah.
that's where his hatred was born. So
get
Peanut
that.
just told us he's old. So we do know that.
He is.
But yeah, it's, for me, what I remember, I started being an Eagles fan in the late 90s. So you had
You're spoiled.
the whole, what I remember was, the Tommy Hutton. I didn't stay up and watch it because that was a Monday night game, but the Tommy Hutton fumble, there's a lot of memories. The Michael Irvin 1999 game, 98, basically the Eagles just were not a good team. We know all about that. We had multiple players on from those years that told us that. So we know that, but yeah, it's just
Let's look at this. Dallas Cowboys versus Philadelphia Eagles season by season results. So the 1960s, we had a 1-game advantage, 10-9. The 70s, the Cowboys were 17-3 against us.
oh my God.
The 1980s were a tie, 10-10. Let's not forget, Dick Vermeil started that decade. Buddy Ryan came in. The 1990s, the Cowboys 14-8.
Yeah.
The 2000s, Eagles 13-8. The 2010s, believe it or not, the Cowboys were 11-9 against us.
Yeah.
And in the 2020s so far, the Cowboys are 3-1.
I know and unfortunately, a couple of those games, of course we know of last year, the last game, the 2017 season, the last game, the 2016 season, the last game. So you have 3 games there that really Eagles were 1-2 in those games, but nobody really played. So it's,
I know the 17 game was actually worse than last year's last game of the year, to be honest with you. Nate Sudfeld, that was.
And then everybody wanted Nate Sudfeld to start the playoff game. Yeah, it brought a lot of.
I didn't want Nate Sudfeld. I'm like, you can cut him right now, for all I care. And if Nick Foles gets hurt in the playoffs, just put Corey Clement back there and run the Wildcat. Corey Clement signed with the Cardinals. By the way,
I did see that. Good for him. And Jordan Howard signed with the Saints practice squad.
Did he?
He did, yes. So a couple signings this week. News and notes for the Eagles. Not too much. I know they're still waiting some injury updates. Whether or not Jordan Mailata is going to come back, I feel like he will. Hopefully, Driscoll did struggle a little bit, let up a number of pressures against Arizona, and I don't know how hurt Kelsey is, but he's going to be on the field. He's a warrior. He's going to be there. So just having the offensive line healthy is going to be key. It's going to be big for the Eagles. But for me, it's just, I want to see people, Avonte Maddox as well. Even though Josiah Scott hasn't been awful, I think he's played pretty admirable, played pretty well. So that's a good thing. But you want to see some of these guys. You want them to get healthier. I don't know with Jake Elliott if he takes an extra. I just feel Jake Elliott's going to take another week and then have the bye week to just get fully healthy. That's kind of my feeling there. But yeah, just trying to get healthy for the Eagles. Just trying to get some of these offensive linemen back. Making sure Dickerson's all right, making sure Mailata's good to go, Kelsey's good to go, just so they're 100% starters going into that game on Sunday night. But
so I have a question for you. I'm a big Jack Driscoll fan.
Yeah.
And
he's not a bad player.
You should be too. Everyone should be, because look, Jack Driscoll hasn't played left tackle since 2016 when he played at UMass. Is there a possibility that he's our starting right guard next year and they let Isaac Seumalo go? Because look, Seumalo's played good. I am not saying anything against Seumalo, but I feel like Driscoll has earned the right to start. I don't know where else he can. They could probably save money, even though Sam is only making about $1 million this year.
Sam Malu is a free agent after the
He is a
season.
free
too, so
agent after this season.
there's going to be decisions that they're going to have to make. They have a ton of free agents.
And he's
They're
going
not
to
going to be able to keep everybody. So there's going to be
very-
decisions that need to be made.
So, you know what I mean? Like, and let's see, Jack Driscoll. What? Looking up, like, into looking up contracts now. That's my.
I'm sure. I think Driscoll should have one more season at least. Because I think he was drafted in 2020.
So he has one more season. He's actually making almost the same as Isaac Seumalo, to be honest with you. But the dead money and the cap hits and stuff like that, his cap number itself is about $2 million less than what Seumalo's is. So he could be. And there's a guy. Look, let's see. I think he was a late pick, right? Like he was a 4th round pick.
Yeah, I believe so.
So he's missed some time with injuries. You could probably sign him cheaper, like extend him.
Yeah.
I mean, look, I like Jack Driscoll. Suopeta came in, played pretty decent in place of Landon Dickerson. Kim Jurgens got in there for a little bit. So the whole left side of the line for a little while there was completely different. Shout out to Jeff Stoutland. Shout out to having these guys ready to play out of position.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah, you're right. You're right. And so, recap the win. Eagles got the W, moved to 5-0, have the Dallas Cowboys this Sunday night. It's going to be a tough game. I can't wait. I love Sunday night football, especially when it's the Cowboys. You may not, but
what are you kidding me?
I love you bring that up. I enjoy that.
I had to throw it out there.
It brings us to
it's time for the Ulecka locks of the week. Who's your lock?
So, did you write yours down?
Yeah, so I don't forget it.
Okay. So I had the Eagles win. So I was right. That was my first lock that was correct, which is pretty sad, because it's week 5 going into week 6.
That actually surprises me, by the way. That
Why?
You hadn't got one right until now.
I know. Yeah, right. Yeah. And Peanut likes that. That drop is gold. No, that is really good. But
not easy to make either, by the way.
Yeah, we know. Okay, you told me about it multiple times and how much how long it took you to do something. You had the Jets beating the Dolphins, which did happen, and I don't know what the second part is. What was the second part? You had like a 2-parter.
I think I said that Zach Wilson would throw for 2 touchdowns. He did not do that.
Yeah.
I believe so. By the way, if you're in a deep dynasty or fantasy league, Skylar Thompson will be making his first career start for the Miami Dolphins. If you need a second quarterback, Skylar Thompson out of Kansas State, actually pretty good at college. He's worth a pickup for your super flex spot if you need him.
Or PJ Walker. But that's another team and another story and another time. Yeah.
PJ Walker.
Yeah, exactly. So, which brings us to our Ulecka locks of this week. We got Roy's Ulecka locks, and now we're gonna. What do you have, Mike, for your Ulecka locks?
Roy inspired me. We can cover AJ Brown 2 touchdowns this week.
Oh, I like that. 2 touchdowns, AJ Brown.
I would love to see him get involved in the run game too. Maybe some sweeps.
I like that.
He's elusive. Oh, Adam, come on. Your lock is AJ Brown 3 touchdowns. It's like one-upping somebody by $1 on The Price is Right. Come on, man. He's elusive enough when he's got the ball in his hands and in the open field to make people miss. Give AJ the ball. Give AJ the ball.
So my Ulecka lock, I'm going to stick with this game too. I'm going to go with something within the Eagles-Cowboys game. I think that the Eagles defense is going to be able to hold Cooper Rush below 200 passing yards.
Easy.
And it's going to be less than 60% completion, and they will get 2 turnovers, whether it's fumble and or interceptions from him. So mine's a little bit of a a tough one, but I feel the defense, the way it's been playing, they're going to be able to cause havoc, and they're going to be able to stop the run enough to make Cooper Rush have to beat him, because if their offense is able to put points up, Cooper Rush is going to have to throw the ball, which is going to give more opportunities and ample opportunities to be able to turn the ball over. And I know you're enjoying the little background music because it's great. I just think of Chris Berman and Tom Jackson. But let me write this down. So Rush has under 200 yards, under 60% completion, and 2 turnovers. That's a lot. That's a pretty long one, but that's what we got for the Ulecka Locks.
Cooper Rush is making $1.03 million this year, by the way. He's almost 30.
Yeah, he is. Wow. He's basically AJ Feely if he were to play in today's game.
So I was looking up Cooper Rush. His pre-draft grade from NFL.com was a 5.5, which, in case you're wondering, 5.5 is a priority undrafted free agent. I was looking at some of this stuff. It's great. Weaknesses: frumpy body with very little muscular definition.
Frumpy body.
Like, look at it. Like, seriously, does not look the part. Slow plodding setup in the pocket. Like, what? Lollipop arm strength allows ball to hang in air too long. Like, my God.
Then
just say this guy. Just put that on there. Seriously, like
that's pretty bad. That's pretty bad, but it's pretty great too, because the Eagles get to face that.
Hold on. Here's how you say a guy is a bad quarterback while listing strengths. Take note. Defined by cerebral approach. Juggernaut in the film room. Hits the field with well-conceived plans of attack based on his studies. Like, just tell me he sucks. Just say you suck.
That's like the guy who maps out what he's going to do at the bar, how he's going to hit on the chicks and all that, and he's the one sitting alone at the bar not doing anything. So Cooper Rush is going to be sitting at the bar alone after Sunday night when the Eagles take charge, which now brings us to the predictions of the Dallas Cowboys and the Philadelphia Eagles. Go on, Mike, and what is your prediction, and why is it your prediction?
Sunday night at the Link. You can't tell me that the place isn't going to be on fire. You know what I mean? It's fantastic. If my wife didn't spend any penny that I made, I try to get down there. I think the Birds roll. I think it's a little closer than the final score I predicted, 31-19. I don't know why I'm feeling 19, but I'm just feeling it for whatever reason. I felt 29 the other week, and I hit that part of it for the record, Johnny. Remember?
You did. I will give you that. You did do that.
I think it's close until midway through the fourth quarter. The Eagles defense forces a Cooper Rush mistake, and then we just take it from there.
And again, I like this music too. It gets me, gets you in your feels a little bit, thinking about the football season. And
I have one thing when we're done I got to do before we do the Go Birds.
That's totally fine. And you're lucky your wife doesn't watch it, the podcast, because she wouldn't have heard your little dig there.
I say everything that I would say to you guys, I would say directly to her. That's it.
Yeah. Again, that's for another show. But the way that I see this game going, it's going to be, like you said, it's going to be a raucous crowd at the Link. It's going to be so loud. Eagles are going to come out amped up. They're going to be fired up to play against the heated Dallas Cowboys, hated rival. I'm going to go with the Philadelphia Eagles. And like I said, Cooper Rush is going to have a tough game. The Eagles should be able to slow down the offense, the run game of the Cowboys. I don't think the Eagles are going to put up a ton of points, but I'm going to go Philadelphia Eagles 28, Dallas Cowboys 17. Yeah, and Eagles will move to 6-0 for the first time since 2004, heading into their bye week.
I'm fine with that.
And I'm totally fine with that too. But again, it's thanks for everyone commenting. I just want to shout out a couple of sponsors that we have.
Before you do, I want to say one thing.
It sucks! Yeah, it sucks!
Sorry, I couldn't find a better Dallas sucks chant, but that's all I got for you guys.
No,
But
no,
it's
no. I
just-
like that. I like that. It's good. It's good.
What are you
But
kidding me?
That was for Peanut.
no, but again, that's another classic drop that you have. But what I want to say is the sponsors that we have here for the AATBirds, AT Sports is Statement Games, Fun Free Twist, Non-Fantasy Sports. We have Vinny's Pizza and Restaurant located at the Iroquois Trail in the Old Town Shopping Center in Allentown. Visit them today, vinnyspizzapa.com. Tell them that we sent you.
Bring me a hoagie when you do.
There you go. Also, Stuff to the Grills located off the Iroquois Trail, the Old Town Shopping Center in Allentown. www.stufftothegrills.com. Again, tell them we sent you. They do a lot of catering as well. So definitely make sure that, you check them out. And I don't want to forget Doan Distillery in the Trolley Barn Public Market in Quakertown. Visit their website, doandistillery.com, to see their list of delicious drinks and spirits. A new sponsor that we have. We will have some pregame shows there. Jeff and Peanut did do one for the Jacksonville game. So keep your eyes peeled for another pregame show happening shortly as well. So definitely check that out. Come and visit. Come say hi to us. We always appreciate everyone that supports us because, if you're not supporting us, we're not doing it. So we enjoy it every single time. If we see you guys, you commenting, everything like that, we absolutely love it. If you have any suggestions on on certain plays you want us to see, because every week, depending on who the Eagles are playing, I'll usually put a clip or a highlight of a certain moment, event, key play, anything like that. If there's something that you have in mind for a specific week and or against the team, let me know. I will try and find it and get that posted up, and I will shout you out as well. So definitely, if you want to do that, let me know. And, either hit the DMs of AATBirds or myself, Johnny U9322, and see if we can make that happen. But
Don't DM me.
yeah, don't DM Mike, because he'll just give you a bunch of clown faces and upside down thumbs, or thumbs down, upside down thumbs. I like that. But again, this is the AATBirds Weekly Report, Opposition Outlook. Again, thanks to Roy White III, our guest. Absolutely enjoy having him on. Cowboy hat and all. He's the great value, Matthew McConaughey. I think that's a great.
All right.
There you go. But I'm Johnny U. Find me at Johnny U9322. Of course, let me see this way. My co-host Mike at Rewind CEO. And it's, what do we always say when we end the shows? Nothing but a very happy and excited Go Birds.
Go Birds.